Welcome back to Brad's Chalk Talks on rules. I want to start with doing a rule scenario that applied to 2 weeks ago. We did kind of the leeward mark rounding, and I got a question from somebody. I've got 4 boats coming downwind like this, and we're going to spread them out a little bit, and then I've got a 5th boat coming right here. When they enter the zone, this is the scenario anyway, it's like this, okay? And they're all overlapped. Anybody looking at this right now can say, yellow has room on everybody, green has room on red and blue, and red has room on blue. And everybody who has entered the zone here has room on this boat here because they've entered the zone. But as they get down here, where they're doing their takedowns, what happens is they all kind of come in for their final approach and line up like this. Because each boat length is, a zone is 3 boat lengths long, you've got blue kind of on the farthest outside here, and blue is still technically outside the zone, okay? By this point, black has gotten here. The question is, who does black have room on? And the answer is that all 3 of these boats entered the zone overlapped, okay? And they remained somewhat in the zone. Blue, however, because of obviously a 3 boat length zone, we know is outside the zone. And by turning to create this nice rounding, so we'll move this in a little bit just so we don't have them falling off the board, then becomes outside the zone because we know 1, 2, 3, and there's obviously going to be a little space in between them. They have opened up their stern to black and therefore now owe room to black, okay? So blue didn't, once they break this overlap and he opens his stern to black here, he owes room. So these 3 will go around like this, and this last one will work like this. Or blue can slow down and go behind black. That's the option for them. So anyway, blue was outside the zone, and when black got to the zone and they were overlapped, it didn't really matter actually who got there first. By blue swinging their stern open and being outside the zone, Rule 18 has not turned on yet, and it doesn't turn on until black or blue enter the zone. But as soon as they do, because blue's coming in on such a hot angle, then they're going to open their stern to whoever's up here. And again, that comes down to the definition of overlap and clear ahead and clear astern. All right, great. I'd like to move on to a different mark, our windward mark, okay? So let's go ahead and draw ourselves a mark zone. Or attempt to. Okay. So one of the most interesting things that can happen on a Wet Wednesday course or a Santa Barbara Yacht Club course is due to the kelp situation that we have. A lot of times a boat will want to come into the mark, a windward mark on port tack. All right, so our wind is from right about here. And they want to tack around the mark, whether it's here and they tack and go around, or they tack right at the mark. They want to come in on that port tack. If there's nobody in the zone, I think most people know they can certainly do that. There's nothing precluding anybody from tacking and going around and continuing to sail their course. But if there's somebody in the zone, people also know that in this scenario, green does not have room on red, and that is in Rule 18. The one that people don't know or get confused on is, what if this boat here comes in and tacks in the zone, and they're on ley line, on starboard ley line, and then red is outside the zone. Does red or green have rights if green slows down? They have a bad tack, or they catch kelp on their centerboard, or their keel, or something like that. Then red comes in like this and has to go up around. Does red have any recourse, or was green the one that was in the zone first, so they had rights? The answer is in Rule 18.3. They did this for a specific reason, by the way. 18.3, tacking in the zone. If a boat in the zone, and again, it's italicized in the racing rules of sailing, that means there's a definition of the zone, okay? And this is our mark zone here, okay? It's a zone around a mark that turns on Rule 18. If the boat in the zone of a mark to be left to port passes head to wind from port to starboard tack, okay? Green did all of these things, and is then fetching the mark. Fetching the mark means, laying the mark, able to get around it. She shall not cause a boat that has been on starboard tack since entering the zone to sail above close hauled to avoid contact, and she shall give mark room if that boat becomes overlapped inside her. When this rule applies between boats, Rule 18.2 does not apply between them. So there is a specific rule written to say that if this guy goes ahead and tacks like this, it doesn't matter where this starboard boat came from. If they're 400 boat lengths away and they catch up and they're miraculously here, this boat cannot force them to alter course. Also, if this boat decides to go like this inside of them, red has right of way. They did this for a specific reason. They do not want boats tacking in the zone. That was the whole purpose of that rule. They do not want a boat tacking in the zone from port to starboard, and that's it. If you've ever seen a Dave Perry seminar, he says this is pretty simple solution. Do it down here, then tack. Okay, so be outside the zone. Make your ley line at 4 boat lengths to the mark, and then tack onto starboard here. Okay, which is a different scenario. A couple of factors are important to understand. What if red has overlaid the mark and they're way up here? They just weren't paying attention, or they had to go around a big patch of kelp to come in on a starboard ley line, and they're like this. It says that, let's see here, it says that she shall not cause a boat that has been on starboard tack since entering the zone, meaning they haven't tacked in the zone. They shall not cause that boat to sail above close hauled to avoid contact. Okay, so she making red sail above close hauled? Nope, that's not close hauled, that's like a beam reach. Okay, what will often happen, and it's important to understand from a tactical perspective, if you see port boats coming in and you did overlay the mark and you're red, so here's a boat that's coming in on port and you see it, this boat will oftentimes dive down to try to be looking like they're on a perfect close hauled course to this mark, okay? So that if this boat does throw it in there, they can shoot up and protest. From a jury perspective, what I want to know about red is, did their jib break? Were they trimmed in, and if their jib started to luff or break at all, that means that they were forced to go above close hauled. And if that happened, then green is going to be disqualified in a protest room. But if it's like this, and say they overlaid it by a boat length, and green can squeeze in there, and let's pretend everybody is 100% honest in the protest room, technically speaking, green did not break any rules as long as red had overlaid the mark. They were beyond that line. They didn't have to sail above close hauled, okay? So that's important to understand as well. The main purpose of understanding this is that, again, if you come in on a port tack, if you can set your ley line to 4 boat lengths out so that you're tacking like this, you're in a good position. One other comment, this is kind of outside the zone. Let's back it up a whole bunch and pretend the zone's way up there. And green does come in at 4 or 5 boat lengths out. Something you want to know is that where they finish their tack matters on their luffing rights. So if green tacks and completes to close hauled course here, then at this point, who has right of way, assuming we're outside the zone? Okay, so the zone, we'll say, is like right here now. okay? Green has rights because they're clear ahead, so red has the option of going above or below, okay? When they enter the zone, if he can maintain that below, then he can try to get around the mark and red has room. If he goes above, green can actually luff him up because he came from clear astern, okay? But if green does a tighter lee bow and they're still completing their tack right here, and there's an overlap created when they complete their tack, then in that situation, they're the one who created the overlap, okay? So green has no luffing rights and must continue to sail proper course. One very tactical move that's very good tactical move is that if you happen to be in a scenario where you're coming in and you're kind of in the zone like this, and you say, uh-oh, am I going to tack onto ley line? What if I have a bad tack and this guy has to, sail above close hauled course and protest me? What would be a solution for green if you were in that position? You'd want to go sail fully past that boat, like go past ley line and then tack here. And the reason being is because you've really lost no more than a half a boat length to a boat length of distance on this boat. And as you round, where are you set up? You're set up to roll them downwind. You're right on their breeze. And if they jibe and you jibe early, you're going to end up in a scenario where you look like that anyway, right? So you're in a very, very good scenario leading to the inside shore, and that would be a much safer bet. So if you're coming in on port and you're unsure, every single time, always go past, tack, and then you're in a scenario where going downwind, you'll be right on their hip. You've risked very little. You've lost maybe a half a boat length or a boat length, but you're in a position to pass. But if you do it the other way, yes, you've gained that half boat length or that boat length, but you've risked the possibility of disqualification or having to spin two tacks and two jibes, okay? So long story short is if you are going to come in, you either want to come outside the zone, be able to tack clear ahead of a boat, or better yet, go past them, then tack, and you're going to be in a position to roll them downwind.